What's up, guys? Coming to you here again, and you're gonna see my reflection today, at least a little bit. Anyway, I'm coming to you because I actually have a pretty interesting computer in front of me at the moment, and I wanted to share it with you. I'm kind of gonna see if I can soup this up. This computer was just given to me as part of an estate, I guess is the best way to put it. But anyway, it didn't look like it was anything special. And in reality, it's not. But what I want to do here is soup it up and make it into a usable, potentially Windows computer. So this thing actually came with some version of Linux on it that was kind of sus. It was called like Telelink or TechILink or something like that. And the total storage on this machine is only 16 gigs. So it's not great. It's just an internet surfing machine at the moment. Looks like it's, based on what I could find in the BIOS, rocking a Celeron processor, which is also not impressive. And it's basically just built for checking your emails and maybe looking at some photos and stuff like that. So nothing too crazy. Anyway, I came across a discovery with it the other day, and I thought it was actually pretty fantastic. And I wanted to take a chance and see if I could upgrade it, make it a usable Windows machine. It does look a little like an iMac though. I'll just show you here. If you look at the back, you can see it's supported by one foot or one kickstand type thing. The rear I/O here is relatively unimpressive, yet it still has like 4 USB ports and Ethernet, you know, standard. And then we've got a couple USB ports right there as well. So it's not altogether disappointing, but I'm going to see if I can turn this into something that could be potentially useful for somebody. So anyway, the first part of this that I wanted to show you guys was actually this kind of strange, it's a touchscreen device. So that's one difference between this and an iMac for sure. But I put Linux Mint on it. So that's what it has on it currently. And boots up with American Megatrends right there. And then it should spin right into Linux Mint for us. Hello. There you go. There's that really hard to see Linux Mint symbol in the middle. And like I said, this only has 16 gigs of storage total, so the Linux Mint installation that's on here is, there's not a whole lot you can do with it. You could surf the web, like I said, and maybe check your emails. And the only reason I put Linux Mint on it is because I couldn't do anything with the other OS. So it's already hooked up to my Wi-Fi here. I'll just go ahead and close this. And it is functional, you know, as a computer. The response time actually feels like it's a little off, but not by a ton. It automatically adds your printer when you have Linux. It added my brother printer that's just on the network and that kind of thing. So that's actually all good to go. But from this point, I want to open it up and actually show you guys what's inside. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I had to pause for a second. I had somebody call me. And the old dog's leaving the office. Goodbye. Anyway, the next part of this that I wanted to do was actually to open this up for you guys so you could see what it looks like inside. Anyway, I've got a digitizer. That's what this outer layer is here because it's a touch screen like this. The digitizer does actually come off, and then underneath of it is the actual screen. So let me get this set up for us, and we'll get this pulled. I have to go grab a screwdriver real quick. Okay, we're going to try and do it this way, where I've got it, the camera sitting here on a mini tripod, and then I'm just going to take the thing apart while I've got you guys here so that you can see what's going on. Anyway, got the trusty LTT screwdriver here, so we're going to go ahead and pull the screwdriver bit out of that, pop it into the top, and then I'm actually going to go ahead and unplug the power from this guy so that I don't end up ruining anything in the process. But yeah, my goal for this guy is I actually have some RAM. I'm going to upgrade the RAM. I'm going to upgrade the SSD to something that's a little bit more viable. And for this, I've actually chosen, it's an mSATA drive. And I cheated a little bit. I did already open this up so I could look at this stuff. But it's an mSATA drive that's inside this. And the mSATA drive actually can just be swapped. I was worried that it was going to be some sort of like memory chip, like a 64 gig whatever, but it didn't seem to be that. So for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and actually pull these cables for the digitizer so I don't accidentally rip anything. We're going to pull them and put the digitizer itself aside. And so if you ever worked on one of those Macs back in the day, that's like one of those iMacs, the 21 and a half inch iMac, this is going to look pretty similar. It's got, I mean, this is way less sophisticated, of course, but still fairly similar. It's got these little tabs to hold the screen in. That's the less sophisticated part. Plus, this is all plastic and not metal, so what we're screwing into or screwing out of is definitely not a durable material by any stretch. I'm going to pull these out. Other side's going to be a challenge with having the camera there, so we'll pull it this direction. And basically, this little guy does have speakers built into it. But my goal is to turn this into a usable Windows machine. If not a usable Windows machine, at least a usable Linux machine. And I'm not looking to get a crazy amount for it, but I think I might end up putting this up for sale online afterwards. So if you're interested in that, I'll try to post a link in the video somewhere or in the video description at some point. That way you guys can hop online and purchase if you so desire. But yeah, then the screen just pops down like so, and it looks like it's plugged into this daughter board here. We'll pull that tab out, so that way we can lay flat. Okay, I'll pull the keyboard forward here. Okay, so now you can see basically everything that's going on inside of here. So I have no freaking idea what Kim2Go is, or Kim2Go, but that's the brand of RAM. It's just got a 4 gig memory chip in here. So we're going to pull that because we don't want just 4 gigs of memory. We're going to upgrade this bad boy to 8. And it is a DDR3. So all this stuff is fairly new in here. But I mean, I guess not fairly new. Because obviously DDR3 memory isn't fairly new. But it looks unscathed, untouched entirely. Which is just crazy to me. But we're going to pull out the SSD next, and it looks like our bit is a little big for that, so we'll go ahead and set that aside. We'll grab the smaller bit that should be able to unscrew that from the board. Need a little more pressure, I guess. And there we go. So we have an mSATA SSD here, and the mSATA SSD is definitely an old form factor. And this, you can tell, is just a run-of-the-mill 16 gig made in Taiwan SSD. It actually has a Phison, I don't know if you can see that super well, a Phison sticker on it right there. There you go, Phison powered. So it's got Phison memory chips. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but oh well. This actually seems to be like a pretty good Wi-Fi card. It's pulling up my 5 gigahertz networks and it's connecting with no problem. So pretty happy about that. This little motherboard, I don't know really what all, you know, I don't know. I don't think that this is actually a swappable CPU. I think it's built into the chipset. This looks like a laptop motherboard. But I mean, I could be wrong. It's just not something I'm gonna try. Pulling this heatsink off and swapping out the CPU just seems like it might be a waste of time. This looks like maybe an ITX size board with 3 screw holes, 3 screws actually holding the thing in. So anyway, I digress. I think it's time to get back to the meat of everything here, which is let's get that new SSD in, let's get that RAM in, and see if we can actually install Windows on this guy. You know what? YOLO, right? YOLO. This computer was free, so we're going to look at the other side of the board. So we're going to actually pull the board a little bit and, you know, flip it over at least, see if there's another place for memory module mount. I know there's a SATA cable option right here, which is semi-intriguing. But all of these screws are like tiny little plastic screws. So I'm assuming this is supposed to be a ground for the screen cable. Okay, I don't know what happened to the screw there, but and then if I'm correct, there's only one other screw left, which is this one down here, holding this board in place. Oh, there's that screw. Which you guys probably spotted that already. Being the bright viewers you are. Okay. That was a ground screw for the digitizer board thing. Okay, is this gonna pull up now, or do we have one more screw somewhere else? I think if we're gonna pull this out, we're gonna have to pull it out and then up. And actually, I think we've got cables connected, so it's actually not gonna pull through until we unplug the USB cords that are back here, plugged in for the mouse and keyboard. And that might be the only issue I'm facing right now, is my own stupidity. Seems we're attached somewhere else. Let me look do a little bit more looking here. This board isn't screwed in either, where the digitizer is. The digitizer plugs in anyway. But it's definitely stuck on there pretty good. Looks like it's glued. This board might be glued too. Just push my finger behind here. It's all flat back there, so there's actually nothing back there. Nothing of consequence anyway. Yeah, that would be a waste of time. We're gonna go ahead and forego that. We're just gonna go ahead and not do that. Not today. I will put that back behind the board here. Might have to pause to order a part for a customer. I was just taking a break to order, or to talk to him on the phone. I was waiting for his Venmo to come through. As soon as his Venmo comes through, I'll order his part. Check on that real quick. Nothing yet. Keep going with my adventure here. Okay, so I'm gonna put the ground screw for this back in. I'm assuming that it's a ground screw. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I feel a little weird working over top of the display like this, but it actually makes me a little uneasy because I don't want to damage the display, because we do want this to be a usable computer after the fact. There we go. It's plugged in. But it's not like I'm putting a ton of weight or anything on it, so should be all right. Should be. Isn't this cute? Such a cute little computer. Okay, so there we go. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to install like Windows 11 on this, which might negate this altogether. So it's going to be pretty silly if I can't, but if I can, sweet. With the DDR3 RAM though and the M SATA drive, I think that would probably be a bad move. But I mean, crazier things have happened. People are installing Windows 11 on 2.5-inch hard drives right now. So if I'm installing it on an M SATA drive, that doesn't feel like the worst crime in the world, right? So anyway, I'm going to pause. I have to run upstairs and actually grab the parts I ordered for this guy, and then I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I am back. So, in normal Brandon fashion, I went a little overboard, and I wound up buying way too much RAM on accident. Only one of these 4 sticks is actually going to go in there, but hey, at least I've got extra for the future. So I can keep upgrading old computers. Anyway, I don't really know what the brand of this SSD is. I've actually seen this in a customer's computer once before, Ranksiana. But anyway, this was just an available M.2 1 terabyte SSD for like, I don't know, $70. So not terrible. Now with the Intel components in this thing and the touchscreen, I have to imagine that it would be okay to run Windows 10. Windows 11, I'm not so sure. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pull the SSD first and do the install of that. I don't know, I just want to try it. Just want to go full on into it and see what we can accomplish here. I can't warranty the darn thing, but I mean, hey, it's got an ITX board, so effectively that's what this is anyway. It's an ITX board with very limited rear I/O. And I'll push that down into place. OMG, it's so beautiful. Okay, now, instead of the weird Kim Tigo RAM that I don't know where it's from, that's 4 gigabytes, we're gonna do the biggest upgrade that we can to this machine, because we only have a single memory slot here for SODIMM, and we are gonna go ahead and stick an 8 gig stick of DDR3 in this machine. This is what we're going with. It is teamgroup 8 gigabyte DDR3L 1600. You know, it's a CL11, so huge. But we have more of it than that little 4 gig stick. So that's in now. We're good to go. We got to start putting this bad boy back together so we can actually get something installed on it. I'm actually quite excited. This is a super simple but super fun project upgrade thing. All right, so here's the sucky part is plug this back in over here. Come on. Big fingers, little port. Okay, I think we're good now. So now I can go ahead and set this back into its recess here. There's the 4 little corners that it sits within on the plastic. And it looks like we're sitting in there pretty. So I'll take this and I'll start putting my clamps back on. And then I think I might clean up that screen with just some 99 IPA. 99% IPA, that way I don't have any fingerprints under the digitizer, because ew, who wants that, right? Okay. So that's effectively in and back to where it was supposed to be. Next is basically putting the digitizer on. Like I said, I'm going to run some 99% IPA over all this and get that cleaned up real quick. My microfiber cloth. Kick things on the bows to the yard. Ba-da, ba-da, ba. All right. I would say that looks pretty good, aside from this stupid clamp that decided that it didn't want to actually be screwed in all the way. Stupid, dumb stuff. There we go. Now we're screwed in all the way. These little feet are kind of funny too. There's these little rubber feet on the bottom, and you can tell they're just kind of screwed in down here. Well, you can't tell because you can't see it, but down here in the corner where my screwdriver is, there's these little rubber feet. And they look silly. So, anyway, that part's done. Let's get the digitizer on. I'm going to go ahead and try not to handle it by the backside as much as I can. Probably going to run some 99% IPA over the back of that too, because I definitely got fingerprints on the back of this. Bad fingerprints. There we go. Actually, I think I'm just seeing the fingerprints from the front on the back side. Okay, so there we go. That's done. We'll hold this by the top here, pull this down. We're gonna reseat these ribbon cables like so. Like so, meaning extremely carefully, if I can. All right, the big one's in. Switch hands. Dang, the little one keeps wanting to pop out. Okay, I think they're both in there, seated pretty well. Again, I'm trying to grab around the black part, the frame, just so that I'm not actually impacting the look of anything else. We're gonna push this back down in, and voila. Okay, so the computer's been officially upgraded. Now, yeah, so you guys don't have to stare at that stupid stuff, the ugly fingerprints and stuff, and you can actually see my beautiful face. I am going to spray more 99% IPA on the screen. And yes, I am talking about a pale ale. Computers love it when you spray them with ales. It's probably one of the better things you can do for your computer, is to get it drunk. Totally kidding. Please don't spray beer on your computer. It's actually isopropyl alcohol, if you didn't catch that already. So now we're going to flip this over, we're going to plug the keyboard and the mouse back in. I'm going to go get my Windows 11 boot drive, and we're going to just YOLO, go all the way for it. Because I don't know what's on this thing, but or what the capabilities of it are, but we're going to see if it'll run Windows 11 happily. I'm going to guess that the answer is no. And it's going to be very upset. I don't even know if Windows 11 is going to detect the drive or anything like that, but because we're doing Windows 11 setup, but the setup is my automated setup, so it's going to go through its normal process here. There we go. Be right back. Yeah, so I'm gonna do a lock on this guy. That way that doesn't really interfere with what you see. And this is my Windows 11 boot drive right here, and I've automated its install process. So essentially the way that it works is I plug it in, turn on the computer, and it does the rest. So if it works the way it's supposed to, we'll have no error messages. If it doesn't work the way it's supposed to, we'll have error messages, and the install will essentially fail. Well, so far, no good. Okay, here we go. Look at that. Oh my gosh, is this going to work? At the very least, it likes the new RAM, so that's good. And the one part about this that always irritates the crap out of me is I don't have an Ethernet cable for my desk, so I just end up pulling the one from my desktop and running it over temporarily, because otherwise my installer doesn't work exactly the way I want it to. Sorry guys. It's doing its thing, I promise. I'm just tipping it over so I can try to get this Ethernet cable plugged in. I think it's time for me to make another cable. I make these things all the freaking time. No reason I shouldn't have another one for here. Where'd the pork go? Oh, it's upside down. Okay, that's cool. Anyway, we'll let it do its thing. Right now it's trying to find the drive and trying to do the setup. It's doing it's entering what's called disk part to find and partition the drive on the system. At least that's what it should be doing. And it looks like it's gonna freaking succeed. That's amazing. So a couple of things. This will not work with a standard Windows ISO that you just download from Microsoft.com, okay? I modified this ISO so that it would bypass the, how do I say it, the requirements for Windows 11 to run on a machine. So basically, it is going to ignore the TPM security. It's going to ignore the processor and any sort of RAM or hard drive functionality that Windows 11 thinks it needs to succeed. Because Windows 11 does run on those older machines, it just doesn't run the best, you know? So being that this is a Celeron processor, I'm going to tell you right now, this will not run nearly as well as it would if it was like, say, a Core i3 or a Core i5. But there's not a lot we can do about it because that processor is built into the chip. At least I think it is. I didn't bother to take it apart, as you well saw. We'll keep recording this, and we'll fast forward through this because this part takes a little bit. Okay, so the Windows install finished successfully, and as you can see, the background actually automatically set as well. So what's going on here, and the reason that there's nothing in the pin section of the start menu, is that I opted to remove all of the bloatware from Windows. So there's some stuff in Windows that comes typically with it, like your Office 365 application, OneDrive, blah, blah, blah. I removed all that crap because I hate it, right? And I feel like it's pretty fair to remove that just because there's no point to it. But from what I can tell, everything actually seems to operate pretty smoothly on this. Windows 11 doesn't seem to have any issues. We can right click. Oh, well, that might be a problem. Right click doesn't work. There we go. Now it works. Well, it works there, but it doesn't work there. I wonder if this has to do with the touchscreen portion of it. Okay, now it's working there. Maybe I have a crappy mouse. I don't know. But anyway, display settings, we can go into display. We can actually see what the resolution of this display is natively and figure that out, because I don't know what it is. 1366 by 768. Okay. So that's the display capability. That's pretty sad, actually. I would have expected at least 1080, but whatever. So you can see Edge runs so many processes. It's got 11 processes going alongside everything else, and it's sucking up the memory like you wouldn't, not the memory, but the CPU like you wouldn't believe. Windows 11 Home, 64-bit. No. Okay, so you got a Celeron AIO PC. Okay, so that gives us our motherboard information, which is super helpful. AIO PC APC 185 PC-10. I have never heard of that before. We'll copy that and we'll go out to the Google machine here, not Bing, because Bing sucks. We'll see what this is. Google it for me. Let's get rid of this and do another search. Okay. Let's get rid of this. LPC. Oh, it's from Alibaba. No surprise there. Does it look like what we have here? It kind of does. That's really funny. So this is just basically an all-in-one PC motherboard. It's literally made for this, but there's not really Okay. Really nondescript. apc.com. That's for the power bricks. Yeah, so there's not really any details on this. When you Google the motherboard, it should come up with something, but it's not bringing me. This is actually what I think we're using right now. This is the same listing we just looked at. That looks like what we're actually working on at the moment. That is an iMac. That's more realistic to what we have on here currently. Yeah, that's exactly what we have. That's what the back of this looks like. It looks, it's all plastic, but yeah, that's the two rear USB ports that are on this thing. That's crazy. Okay, guys, so I finally finished being fascinated by this thing and what was going on the internet with it. What facts I could find, which pretty much nothing. It's just a Chinese PC, bog standard drivers, that kind of thing. The speakers are nothing too impressive. I've tested them out. They don't really work that well. They could probably be replaced with some pretty standard laptop speakers. Anyway, what I really wanted to show you is the operation, the normal operation of this thing. And earlier I was showing resource usage up in the 80s to 90s, possibly even hundreds. This is a Celeron processor, so basically one single process is going to take over the CPU on this machine. You can see right now we're sitting at 6%, 5%, 4%, and then it'll probably go back up. It usually stays between 4 and 10 when you're not doing anything. That's just for basic operations. I launch Microsoft Word, and you can see that we spike pretty significantly, almost to 100% usage. So it's essentially a program. It's essentially a PC that's just going to be able to run one application at a time. If you're running something in the background and you want to run Microsoft Word too, it's probably not going to do so great. I did go ahead and install Office on this computer. Maybe that was against my better judgment. I don't really know. I did deactivate Edge as the primary browser and set up Opera GX just because I feel like it's a little more user-friendly. And while it does take a little bit of resources to use, it doesn't take near the resources that Edge takes for everything. So this is by no means going to be like a gaming computer or anything like that, but it is a really good, like, hey, surf the web, check your email, you know, write a letter to your mom or whatever type of machine. So if you're looking for something that's pretty standard machine, this thing does operate really well. You can go through the menus fairly quickly. The right-click functionality does work. It takes a second, but it does pop up. That was something that I thought was a little strange earlier on, but I think it was just because we were running Windows updates at the same time. Anyway, it turned out to be pretty solid. I can't really complain. The only complaint I would have really would be for the speakers that are built into it, and honestly, it's got an audio jack for output, so no big deal. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching this. If you liked what you saw today for this mystery random computer, you know, go ahead and give the video a like and give me a subscribe too. That'd be awesome. Subscribe to the channel. You'll see some more cool stuff like this. I'm always doing some random things or fixing some crazy computers. So anyway, again, thank you for watching. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.